Hello everybody and welcome back to Spicy Coding Academy's channel where we are going over tutorials on FreeCodeCamp. And we will be starting off where we left off, testing objects for properties and going down probably down to here or here. And like I said, if you are enjoying this, definitely check out our tiny cohort where we teach people how to code in JavaScript while having fun, while doing crazy things like trivia, icebreakers, weird questions, weird stories, and a lot of fun. If that's something you're interested in where you don't like the boring, mundane, blah, blah, blah that a lot of boot camps talk about, and you want to actually learn and also have fun at the same time, and you enjoy these, you most likely will love our tiny cohort. So with that, let's get started testing objects for properties. Sometimes it is used to check if the property of a given object exists or not. We can use the .hasOwnProperty prop name method of objects to determine if that object has the given property name. So here is what we use right here, .hasOwnProperty, and it will either return true or false if the property is found or not. So for this example, they have a const myObj equals, and then with the brackets, top hat and bottom pants. Then they go ahead and they use .hasOwnProperty to check if top exists, which it will return true. Then they check to see if middle exists in that object, and it turns out it doesn't, so it returns false. So now it says modify the function checkObj to test if an object passed to the function obj contains a specific property, check prop. If the property is found, return that property's value. If not, return not found. So let's go over here, and we have our function check obj. And we have two parameters, obj, check prop. Now let's get rid of this because it's redundant. And before I give you the answer, let's consider this. Let's consider what to do. What do you think would be the first step? Because we want to have two cases. If it's found or if it's not found. And I'll give you a little clue. If it's found or it's not found. So what do you think, what type of thing are we going to use to be able to have two statements? If you guessed if, you are correct, Amanda. All right, next thing. What do you think we're going to start out with? Because we want to either do, okay, it's found or it's not found. So let's check the one if it's found. So we're going to want to start with these parameters. Which out of the two do you think we're going to put in here? If you guessed obj, you are correctamundo. Because remember, what are we looking at? We're looking at inside this obj, inside. So we want to check inside this. And when you think about it, think about obj dot. Hey, I want to look inside of this obj, and I want to see if this check property exists. So now we're going to use this right here, .hasOwnProperty. And what are we going to put inside hasOwnProperty? Well, I'll give you a hint. We already used obj to say, hey, look inside of obj, and I want you to check if there's a hasOwnProperty. So the only other thing we can use is check prop. So let's throw that sucker in there. And then we want to test the condition. So if that condition is true, what do we want to do? Well, it says down here, if the property is found, return that property's value. And remember, the value is on the right side, and the property is on the left side, and this is the object. So we want to return the property's value. We want to return the value. So we're going to go return obj. We want to make sure we're returning what's inside of the object. We're going to put in brackets the parameter for it to return. We'll put in check prop, which is essentially we want it to return the value. So then we're going to end with a little semicolon, and then we're going to get rid of this sucker, and it says over here, okay, if not, return not found. So then we got our if statement. We also have to have our else statement because we have two conditions. If it's true or if it's false. If it's false, return not found. Let's check to see if we did A-okay. And look at that, we did A-okay. All right, so manipulating complex objects. Sometimes you may want to store data in a flexible data structure. A JavaScript object is one way to handle flexible data. They allow for arbitrary combinations of strings, numbers, booleans, arrays, functions, and objects. This is just a smart way of saying you can literally put strings and numbers or booleans and arrays into if you want. So the data structure is extremely flexible. If you look over here, we have const our music. We have, remember this? This gives us an array. We have an array with an object, and within this object, we have another array of formats that hold these values inside of this whole array. That's pretty flexible. Arrays and objects and objects and arrays, it's a lot. But be mindful though, this is an array with an object, with another array. So, just a little reminder, an array looks like this. An object looks like this. So we have an array with an object inside of there. And then we end the array of objects with a semicolon. So now it's saying over here, this is an array which contains one object inside. One object. You see the two curly braces? The object has various pieces of metadata about an album. It also has a nested formats array. This formats array right here. And if you want to add more album records, you can do this by adding records to the top level array. Objects hold data in a property which has a key value format. In the example above, artist, Daft Punk, is a property that has a key of artist and a value of Daft Punk. So this is the value, and it's calling this the key. So you can either call this key and then value, because we're getting a lot of different information in here, so we're going to call it key value. You will need to place a comma after every object in the array unless it is the last object in the array. So I have a feeling it's going to want us to make a new object. So it says add a new album to the My Music array, add artist, title, release year, and formats. So this is an array, artist and title are strings, release year is a number, value, and formats is an array of strings. Remember, this is the key, this is the key, and then we're going to give it a value. This is the key, we're going to give it a value. This is the key, we're going to give it a value, yada, yada, yada. Boom, boom, boom. You know what it is? You know what it is. So now we're going to go over here, put that comma because we're adding a new object, and let's format it nicely so that it looks crisp and clean for the other programmers. And it says, okay, let's do this. It says add artist. So we're going to add artist. Let's add Queen Shakira, because she is queen. She is the queen. And then we're going to add a title. Lips do lie. Sometimes. Lips do lie on a Friday. Okay? Because you know what goes on Fridays. Am I right? Okay. Release year. Which this is coming out hot. This is coming out real hot right now, 2023. That's so hot, I can't even type it anymore. Ooh, I have to leave. Okay, and formats, well, it's an array of strings. So we're going to do that little fancy schmancy little thing right there. And I'm just actually going to copy this because I don't know too much about music. So yeah. and then boom, boom, pow. Now we're going to see if we did it. Boom, look at that. We have our first object all the way down here, our second object all tidily inside of an array. That's how we do. That's what we do around here. That is what we do around here. All right. Accessing nested objects. The subproperties of objects can be accessed by chaining together the dot or bracket notation. So here is a nested object. Const our storage equals desk. And then right here we have a nested drawer. Cabinet, we have some nests right here. Boom, another nest, and a bottom drawer, which is just all by itself. So now it's saying our storage.cabinet. Okay, go to cabinet. Okay, we're at cabinet, and it says top drawer. Go to top drawer, and then dot folder 2. Go to dot folder 2. What does it say? This is the value that we want to print it out. So yeah, and we do that again with the our storage.desk.drawer. Go to our storage. Okay, here's the object, our storage. We go to desk. Okay, desk, and then we go to drawer, and then it would give us the value stapler. Now it says access the my storage object, this my storage object, and assign the contents of the glove box property to the glove box contents variable. Use dot notation for all properties where possible, otherwise use bracket notation. So it wants us to take this, and it wants us to use dot notation for all properties where possible. And it says assign the contents of the glove block. I can't even speak. Glove box property. Say that 5 times fast. Glove box property to the glove box contents variable. Okay, so essentially store that sucker into here. So we're gonna go in here, and we're gonna go down to glove box, and we want to store this value in const glove box contents. So what do you think the first thing we're gonna do? Well, if you look, it's going back here to our storage.cabinet. So my storage, we want to call the object my storage, and then we got to go through the nests to get there. So the first nest first we're gonna go to car, and then it's gonna nest to inside, and then we're going to nest into glove box. So we got car dot inside, and then since there's a space in between, we have to use, what do you guess? We got to use this sucker. Yep, it's coming back out. Coming out to play. And then today, what do you think is going to happen? Boom, 100%. Yep, spool up the FTL drive. So, accessing nested arrays. Actually, you know what? This is about 13 minutes. We're going to try to do a little shorter nowadays. So we're going to stop here. But if you enjoyed it, go ahead, smash that subscribe, hit that like, do what you like. There's a lot more where this is coming from. This is the cream of the crop, but this is not the gelato. This is only starting. So our academy is not only like this, but it's exciting, it's fun, and you never know what's going to happen. I can genuinely say that you might be surprised with the ways that we come up with our challenges, our code challenges. So if this is something you're liking, if you're putting up what we're putting down, then take a look, join our cohort. The sign-up sheet is below, and enjoy the rest of your days because you deserve it. You're an awesome human being. And with that, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.